My name is James Walsh, and I'd like to thank you for checking out the Wrestling Epicenter here on YouTube. If you have not done so already, please do. Click that subscription button and the notifications bell. This way you'll be notified anytime I upload any new or new to you classic content from our archives that date back to 2002. If you get the opportunity, please also check out www.wrestlingepicenter.com for all your wrestling news and info needs, as well as our store to keep us going free and clear. Without any further delay, let's get to why you came here, the content here on YouTube.
Tonight, Patrick and I are joined by Crowbar, or Devon Storm, or we're going to call him Chris. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. What about you guys?
We're doing well. Yes, doing very well. I guess the first question we have to ask you is, what have you been up to lately?
What have I been up to lately? Actually, believe it or not, I just this week I opened up my own physical therapy practice outside of the wrestling world, but for about 3-4 months, I took some time off from the ring to prepare for that. And actually during that time, I've gotten myself into what I call probably the best shape of my entire career, including WCW, anything like that. So right now, I'm just coming off a good 4-month stint of really hitting the gym hard, training hard, and getting ready for my first indie back next week.
And where will that be?
That will be in, I'm not sure, I'm trying to think, Palmer, Pennsylvania. It's near Allentown. It's in the Lehigh Valley. Going out there for a group that's being run by Amana, the independent wrestler. He's a good buddy of mine, and he's trying to get something going out there. And I'm looking forward to hopping back in the ring out there. So that'll probably be my first match back in about 4 months. So excited about it.
All right. Now, you've been working quite extensively on the Indian scene for the last few years now. How do you like it?
The independents have gotten, compared to when I first broke in, there was a handful of independent shows, and and each one of those handfuls were really well run. They drew great crowds. Like you would have top-notch talent on it. Now, it's hit or miss. I've gone to some indie shows that are fantastic with fantastic talent, and I've also been to a lot of shows that with people running them have no business running them. I mean, there's some bad indie wrestling out there.
Yes, there is. What do you think of? I had a conversation with I can't remember his name for the life of me. Oh, it's something Sweeney, Hot and Sour Larry Sweeney. Just screwing around, did an interview with him before. He played the fake Hulk Hogan's son on one of those horrible Randy Orton skits. But we were talking a little bit about the young guys not having much of a look and basically just being out there to show everybody, hey, I can do a backflip. What do you think of that?
I don't discourage anybody from trying to get into the wrestling business. Lord knows when I first broke in and I was at 17, I was in no way, shape, or form having the look of a superstar or in the best shape at all. If you think back to my first gimmick, Devon Storm, I used to wear a bodysuit to cover myself up because I really didn't have that great of physique. And not that I'm Adonis now, but I mean, back then I was fresh out of high school, had a lot of baby fat still, and I covered myself up. But even at that time, I had a outfit design that, hid the majority of my weaknesses, and it was still wrestling attire. It was still wrestling tights. You got guys out there these days in sweatpants and like in t-shirts doing backflips, and it's and that's all well and great. The person could be the best athlete in the world, but if they don't look like a professional wrestler, the fans aren't going to take them as a professional wrestler. I remember my first independent show of all time. It was at the FDU, the Philly Dickinson University campus in Rutherford. Now it's owned by another college, but at that time I was a sophomore in high school, and I attended an independent card there. And the first match out was Iron Mike Sharp, and I'm not sure who he wrestled, but I'd seen Mike Sharp on TV week after a week, get his ass kicked on Saturday morning. He was basically doing job matches.
Right.
But when he walked out of that door, didn't have a curtain. He came out of the gym door. This guy was larger than life. And as a sophomore in high school, this guy I knew could kick my ass. He was way bigger than me, and he just looked intimidating. He looked like a wrestler. He wore tights and boots. He looked like he belonged in a wrestling ring. And these days, unfortunately, you have a lot of outstanding athletes, but it takes more than athletic ability to be a pro wrestler. You have to look the part too. And people will always come up with the argument, well, how about back in the day with the 1, 2, 3 kid? How about Jerry Lynn back in the day? Even though he was in great shape, but they were smaller guys. But they were special. They were unique characters in whatever federation they were a part of. You can't have an entire independent show made up of all guys that don't look like wrestlers and expect each one to be taken as something special.
Right.
Now, of course, you speak about the indies. A promotion that I want to work on the internet is Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got to see any Ring of Honor?
I've actually seen some of their stuff on some tapes. I actually like that style. It's a lot of fun to watch. And they also use a lot of guys, they may be smaller in stature, but they look like athletes, I've gone in independent shows where there's guys doing moves and they look like they never touched a weight in their entire life. It's a problem. Ring of Honor guys are even if they're on the leaner side, they're in shape. They look like they look like athletes.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of some guys coming into WWE? Obviously, I don't want you to have to bury anybody, but one of the things is we run a forum on our website, and one of the things that keeps popping up is people saying, well, this guy looks like $1 million, but he can't wrestle, or this guy doesn't have a look, but he's damn good in the ring. I mean, do you think that maybe the problem is that there's no competition and no place for a guy to really put together what he thinks he has to do to make it to the big time?
I really don't know. There's always been, if you look back in time, there's always been guys that were, maybe didn't look all that great, but they were great wrestlers. Bobby Eaton, for example, he never had an Adonis body, but he was a great wrestler and he found his niche. Lex Luger looked like $1 million, but if you take the clothesline away, Lex is screwed. That's all he did. But I'm saying, but God bless him. He made money for himself. He had his spot, but you're going to have that today too. You're going to have guys that will look great, and they're not going to be great wrestlers. But for somebody out there, for some fan, for some kid that might be 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, that guy that's in great shape and isn't a great wrestler is larger than life. And when that kid sees him come out, wow, and that kid may buy a ticket to see that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, and you're always going to have the guys on the card that are there for the excitement. The great workers, the guys that do some fancy stuff. They do the high spots. They're great technically, but they might not look as hot. Then there's always guys, for example, that could do it both. Chris Benoit is an excellent wrestler, and he looks like $1 million. There's all different shapes and sizes, and the real trick is to emphasize the person's strong points and hide their weaknesses.
Mm-hmm. Now, getting back, we're starting to talk about your career a little bit. You mentioned Iron Mike Sharp earlier.
Yes.
Of course, I believe you attended his.
Yeah, and that day was a trip all in itself, going into wrestling school the first day and, seeing this guy that really had a huge impact on me. You go to the Meadowlands Arena, you go to the Spectrum, you go to the Nassau Coliseum. Whenever I went with my dad or with my friends or something like that, you're up there, the first tier or something like that, they're far away. You go to an indie show, it's a whole new experience. The venues are very small, and I was sitting right there in the front row, and Sharp walked out, and I just couldn't believe how big he was. And that was just a really, like you call it a wow experience, in my whole wrestling career was when this guy walked out, and that was probably the closest I've ever been before to a real wrestler. And just going in to his wrestling school at that time, being in the ring with him and locking it up was just an awesome experience.
In '97, you entered WWF for their light heavyweight division. What were your thoughts on that division and the tournament they had?
For me, it was just an awesome opportunity. One, having an opportunity to wrestle for the WWE. I had always gotten into pro wrestling just because I just love it, and I still do. And anything else that ever came of it was a gravy. Fortunately, I got to experience the light heavyweight tournament. Got to wrestle. At that time, I might have been, I'm thinking, 22 or 21. Getting to be on national TV and the first ever light heavyweight tournament for WWE, and it was just a real awesome experience. It's at that point in my life, I was full time in school, and I was sneaking out of my classes, to go catch the plane to go be in this tournament. It was awesome.
Excellent. Now, what is your opinion of the way that they use more light heavyweights these days? It's gotten a little bit better, but at least that's my opinion. But I still think that they really don't feature cruiserweights that often on the WWE program.
I hear a lot of their main cruiser guys. I'm not sure if I'm right or not. Is on SmackDown.
Right, you are.
That's correct. And usually Friday nights, that's the past 5-6 months. Even before that, I'm either at an indie show or after working a full week at work, I'm usually catching a movie or something with my wife or hanging out on a Friday night. So I honestly can't comment on SmackDown because I really haven't seen it. TNA, on the other hand, has done an awesome job of using smaller guys, in the X division, and they really made that a focal point out there. When it comes to TNA, I believe they've really showcased that division. They don't call it cruiserweight; they call it the X division. But they've really showcased guys that are, they're not heavyweights, but they're allowing them to show off their awesome athleticism and ability.
Now, through the years, you kind of went from being considered cruiserweight to regular to hardcore and so forth. Did you ever appear on TNA ever again? Would you consider yourself X Division, or would that be something that's kind of behind you?
I can do anything. I do follow TNA, and I understand that they've, I saw them use Samoa Joe as an X Division wrestler, and I would have no problem at all working with those guys. They're going to be a little bit faster than me, but I don't mind being a base lift for these guys. I could take all their stuff and actually, go back a few years from now, and I've had a lot of great matches with Loki, who's there right now. We have great chemistry together. We know how to work the big man versus this smaller guy match, and we really had some tear up, drag out matches, and I really wouldn't mind mixing it up with him again. So X Division, anything. I'm not opposed to anything if the opportunity were to present itself.
Now, I didn't know originally that you were part of the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship Tournament originally, but why didn't they bring you back?
I have no idea. It might have been something to do with, I was never offered a full-time position formally, but it may have had something to do with they knew that I had possibly a year and a half to 2 years still left of physical therapy school, and thank God I finished that, or else I'd be screwed right now. But I just have no answers there. Just we were never able to put anything together, and was really never offered anything. So
I remember you guys did some shows in New Jersey or the New Jersey area. They brought you and Daphne out as dark matches a couple times. You guys got one of the better pops of the night.
yep.
So like, why didn't they think, well, maybe we should think about this?
I have no idea. Really, I thought the same thing. Even right when they did the merger with WCW, I was released prior to that. Then they brought me back for some dark matches. One in Philly with John Cena, who was a prototype at that time. Then in Hartford against Rick Fuller, who's in my opinion one of the better big guys out there, out there that really deserves another shot. I mean, the guy's awesome for his size, and at both of the matches, just had what I thought was great reactions, and I'm not just blowing smoke up my own ass. I had people there, and the reaction was there, and it just never amounted to anything. I don't know why. Perhaps with all the other talent there, I just got lost in the shuffle, and nothing ever became of it.
Now, you mentioned that you wrestled John Cena in a dark match. Are you surprised that he went on to become WWE champion?
Not at all. I actually did an interview about maybe a month and a half later, and they asked me what I thought about working with the prototype. And like I said, at that point in time, you could just tell the way he carried himself, the look he had. I said he's going to be a star, and like I said, he had unlimited potential. For some of the internet fans and some of the hardcore fans, they're not they're not his biggest supporters, but wrestling is so much more than just the hardcore fans and internet fans. He has that X factor that people got into. He could talk. He has a great look, and he appeals to a very large fan base. The general wrestling population, and I could see it back then that the guy was going to do well.
You mentioned having some great matches with Low Key. I believe a lot of those were with Jim Kettner's ECWA. What were your thoughts of working for Mr. Kettner?
Hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, the best indie guy I ever worked for. He did so much for my career. I had the opportunity to be a part of the first, it's 2 or 3 Super 8 tournaments, and you just learn so much from Jim. There's no facade with Jim Kettner. What he tells you is going to happen is what's going to happen. He's an honest, upfront guy, and I really challenge anyone to find something bad about this guy. The guy's the best. He's an upfront guy, and just cares so much about the business and the guys in it. Just great experience.
He did great things with the Haas family too, especially after Charlie's brother passed away.
Absolutely, yep. And I actually had the opportunity this year to return to ECWA for 2 shows. I got to team up again with Ace Darling, my former tag team partner, still one of my best friends, and it was just a great experience going back down there. He has a very unique fan base that is really they're into everything there. They really get into the shows. They love the wrestlers. They love Jim Kettner. They love it's just a big family down there. Between the company, the fans, and the wrestlers themselves, and going back down to ECWA this past maybe it was January, February, March. It was just awesome.
Now, a lot of indie promotions, APW has the King of the Indie.
No, this is. Can I speak to Charles, please? Charles is not here. Oh, he's not home.
Wrestlers out there, and there's always going to be other companies that do tournaments. I personally, I didn't recognize any of the other tournaments you said, but I really don't follow a lot of indie wrestling outside of the East Coast here. But there's only one, and there will only be one Super 8. That's the one tournament that everybody knows about. That's the one tournament that everybody talks about. One tournament when the Sunday morning rolls around, everybody's talking about who won the Super 8.
Going forward a little bit in your career, you of course signed with WCW. What was the atmosphere like when you first went backstage?
I just had a great time. You know, it's like I said, I got into wrestling because I loved it. Anything else that were to come out of it would have been a bonus. You know what I mean? I would have been just happy doing a few indie shows and having some fun. The WWE thing was amazing, and then finally getting signed to a full-time contract with WCW was just an outrage. It was outrageous. I just enjoyed myself the whole time, and it was great. You know, it was going backstage was a very relaxed atmosphere because I knew some of the guys during PT school. I made a few appearances on WCW Saturday night, and I had met some of the talent. I knew some of the talent. Dallas Page helped open up the door for me to get there, so that made me feel a little bit more relaxed there. Like I had Hugh Morris there, who I knew since I was 12 years old. So there were a lot of familiar faces, and it really wasn't like it made for a very comfortable feeling.
Now, how did you enjoy your angles with David Flair and Daphne?
I had such a great time with that angle. I had never met David prior to that. I was doing the Saturday night show as Devon Storm. Vince Russo came out to the power plant. He saw me, came up with an idea. They told me they were going to team me with David Flair, who I had never met before. And then you start thinking, oh, this guy's Flair's. He's going to be a prima donna. You know, maybe this or that. It's going to be a pain in the ass to work with him. And then when I met him, I was so pleasantly surprised at what a nice, humble guy he was. And he was just a great guy to work with. Had a lot of fun. He was always trying to learn something. He would always ask me, like, can you show me this? Can you show me that? He wanted to get better. He was thrown into a big spot quickly, and you know, a lot of people will say before he was prepared to, and he knew it, but he took that ball, he ran with it, but along the way he still tried to better himself, and it was a great experience tagging with David as well as working against him. When they split us up, we had a great time together, and we could throw Daphne in the mix there. I met her, and she was just a great gal from the first time I met her. Just a great personality, great attitude, and little by little, she let me know that she had a gymnastic background. When I found that out, you know, I started working out with her and David, and then lo and behold, a few months later, the Franken Screamer was born. You know, and so Daphne started getting involved in some spots, and I actually got the opportunity to team up with Shannon about I'm trying to think when it was, maybe April or May for Frank Goodman in New York City, and then it's amazing. Like, she's doing dives to the floor on top of people now, taking bumps, and she really hasn't lost a step. She's great. She still has a great attitude, and hopefully we'll work again soon someplace.
I talked to her probably back in June, and she, of course, had nice things to say about you, but it was an interview I was looking forward to because I had a feeling she would be just a riot, and she was. She was really a sweet person.
And like in the fans there, they just really take to her. They love her. You know, she has great charisma, and they just really took to her that night. And actually, that show was our first indie show together as a pair since WCW closed up outside of the couple dark matches we did for WWE. So it was a great experience, a lot of fun, and I think the people enjoyed themselves too.
Now, did David being Ric Flair's son put any pressure on you at all to, like, I don't know, take care of him in the ring or anything like that?
Nah, he was up for everything. Like, you know, David, when I got there, was still a very limited as far as what he could do. But in all reality, that really made for my break. You know, they had David on the TV. He was doing a great rating, but they were limited as far as what they could do with him in the ring itself. So they figured, hey, we'll put him in a tag team with somebody that could do a lot of the work. And I had no problem with that. So his lack of ability at that time actually helped get me a spot. So, it's I didn't mind it at all.
Have you seen David lately, and what do you think? I've heard he's really improved a lot.
I've not seen him in a while. I spoke to him on the phone maybe 5-6 months ago. A buddy of of mine was at a convention or something in North Carolina or something like that, and he put David on. We had to talk for a minute or so, exchange pleasantries, and then that was it because he had to go. But I haven't seen him perform in a while. But I've heard the same thing, that he's gotten immensely better from his WCW days.
Now, one of the men you got to work with in the closing days of WCW was the hardcore legend Terry Funk. What were your thoughts of working with Terry?
What do you think my thoughts are? I grew up watching Terry Funk. I always tell everybody, one match that stuck out in my head when I was a kid was the I Quit match with him and Flair at the New York Knockout, and that really was the first, and not the first, but on the national televised TV, that was a hardcore match before they were calling them hardcore matches, you know what I mean? And there was no garbage cans or garbage can lids or canes or anything like that. They made a hardcore match by using objects around the ring that are normally there and using them as weapons. It was just an outstanding match. And then, then to be able to turn the clock ahead and say that I'm wrestling Terry Funk on Starrcade, which is traditionally WCW's biggest event of the entire year for the hardcore belt, was just, it was mind blowing. It was an awesome experience, and I will never forget that. The guy is just amazing. The way he works, and it was just an awesome experience. I say that very often, but there were so many great experiences that I was very blessed to have throughout my career, and that was definitely one of them. Is being involved in the program with really the hardcore legend and Terry Funk. It was just awesome.
All right, let me ask you this question. I remember going back to about that same feud, you started actually cutting promos. They gave you the chance to get a lot of backstage promos and even on the ramp promos, and a lot of them were really, really good. I've got to give you a lot of credit for that. Some people said, though, that they thought maybe Daffney took away from the seriousness of them.
Well, that's, I could defend that also, too, in that that's what she would do in that situation. Her character was just fun-loving, carefree, just a whack job. And, it was my job. My character was becoming less goofy and more serious because I was in a serious situation with Terry Funk. But, if you look at the Daffney character, that's what she would do. And I think it fit. And if you're watching the promo and if you're listening to it, that's great. But then a small part of you can't ignore the fact that you got this nut in the background with sparklers making faces. I think it made for entertaining TV. That's just me.
I thought so too, but there was a lot of people, the cynics out there who were pretty critical.
There's always going to be, you know what I mean? It's they know what they say about opinions. Everybody has one. So,
exactly.
But you're never going to make everybody happy. It's impossible. You know what I mean? You have the best match in the world, and you have a few tools out there that'll say, "Oh, that was terrible." So it's you can't please everybody, and it's usually with the people that are displeased that are usually the most vocal. So that's why they're usually heard.
Exactly.
Well, was it frustrating to be in that late stage in WCW point where it seemed like they just couldn't get off the ground no matter what they did?
I saw it happening, but at the same time, was having such a great time being there that I just made the most out of each time, and I had a good time during the whole process. It's but there were times when I think we could have done more stuff, like it really seemed like you get a storyline going. Even outside of myself, there were a few storylines with top guys that you thought could have caught on, but they just didn't. And we all saw it happening at that time. But even when that's going on, you just go to work, you do your thing, and you do your best.
Now, another man involved in your feud with Terry Funk was Ming.
Yes.
Yes. Of course, Ming actually went to WWF in the middle of the feud. Is there any backstory to that you know of? Or?
Not that I know of. But all my dealings with Ming were a great. He was also a guy. You'd probably hate me for saying it, but I was watching him when I was probably in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and I was you watch this guy as a fan, and he's just a tough, nasty, mean guy, and then you meet him in person, and he's legitimately tough. You hear all the backstage stories and everything like that. Guys have seen him do this and that and blah blah blah. But when I met him, he was just a really warm, great, nice guy, and working with him was equally it was easy. It was really easy. He took care of me, and it was a pleasure. As far as him leaving with the hardcore title, I haven't heard anything about that. So it's just something that I'm just trying to think what the last pay per view was. I believe it was Sin. He won the title at that, right or wrong? Yes.
Yeah,
he won that, and then a few weeks later he just disappeared.
Right.
I knew he didn't have a full-time contract at the time, so I guess it made sense for WWE to grab somebody that had a title, I guess. And there he went.
It makes perfect sense. I wanted to ask or tell you the story about Ming. We just interviewed Smash from Demolition, Barry Darso, the other day, and he said that he was the sweetest, nicest guy in the world. He'd pull out a chair for a woman at a restaurant and sit down and have a nice meal. But if anybody made fun of him, he'd take out the entire bar.
Sure. Don't make him mad. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, now I have to ask, do you have any
We were on tour in England. I'd fallen asleep on a bus, and I guess during the time I fell asleep, they had stopped at a rest stop. I woke up, and Meng is there, and he's in the seat across the way from me, and he looks over, he goes, this goes to the Crowbar brother. You fell asleep. You're probably hungry. Long trip. I got you some food, and it was just a lot of the guys are out for themselves, and for me that was just a very thoughtful thing to do, and it all goes back to having a guy that you grew up watching care enough to do that for you. And it's it doesn't seem like a big deal, but to me it was.
Yeah.
Now, in, I believe, late 01, early 02, you started working with the WWA promotion, the World Wrestling All-Stars. What were your thoughts on this promotion?
I had I had nothing else going on at the time. It seemed like a great opportunity. They had a great roster, and it really it really was a lot of fun. Like I said, at the first tour, the entire tour, I got to work with Norman Smiley, and you want to talk about another super nice guy, and just a great talent, great worker, and just working with this guy is an absolute pleasure. I'll do it any night of the week. The guy was awesome, and I really got to spend an entire tour working with Norman, and that tour finished up on a pay-per-view event where we got to really map out the hardcore matchup we wanted to do. They basically gave us free reign to just make it a great match, and he's doing some dives here, some table stuff, backstage stuff, and it really was, what the best word to describe that tour was just fun. It was a great time with a great bunch of guys.
Now, during that tour, you actually got a chance to work with another hardcore legend, Sabu. Some entertaining matches there, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, that was actually, I'm trying to think what tour that was, maybe the second or third tour. Got to work with Sabu. We first had the match in Las Vegas.
Right.
And then we followed up with the following tour of Australia, where we worked a few times. And that whole tour finished off in like a cage match, which was a great time. I've always been a huge fan of Sabu, and I'll say it now. I'll say it, next week. And like I said, the fact that no one has better chemistry than me and Sabu. I'll put our matches up against, like him and Van Dam's, anybody's. We have great chemistry together. I'm a huge fan of the guy, and we've had some killer ones. Like in that cage matches.
That was crazy. That was crazy.
Unfortunately, it was a very low buy rate, and not many people saw it. But I have it here, and I'm just very proud of that match. And that's probably the match of my entire career that that I'm the most fond of.
What happened with that? It seemed like there was going to be a big crowd and all that, and then on TV it looked like there were 12 people there. What happened?
No, they had a big crowd there in Australia. They had a pretty big crowd. It was packed. I don't know which one you're talking about. That might have been the Vegas one you're thinking of.
Oh, okay, maybe. I'm trying to remember because I thought it was a bigger crowd than what it was.
Yeah, the one with the cage match was a big tour. Like a nice large house there.
Oh, really? Okay. I don't know. Maybe just lighting. I don't know. It just seemed like they were.
The lighting was pretty dim. Yeah.
I guess I've come to expect that to mean that they were hiding the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, hiding entities.
Actually, they had a good crowd. I don't know how far up it went, but at least the whole lower section was right now filled up. You know what I mean? And
right.
For a non-WWE crowd, that was pretty good. I thought.
Yeah.
Now, they actually brought in Bret Hart as the commissioner. When they did that, did you think that possibly they might get off the ground and become a threat at all?
Of course, we were all hoping for something to happen at that time, and having Bret Hart aboard isn't going to hurt any. He had a great name and recognition. A lot of the fans there in Australia came out just to see Bret. It was great, but and there was some hope there that was going to take off, and it just never materialized.
Well, you put over your matches with Sabu, and it seems like with the new ECW, Sabu has really gotten a new lease on his career. Do you see yourself coming to the new ECW and maybe renewing your feud with Sabu?
Well, I haven't heard anything, like you say in wrestling, and never say never. I have a lot going on with physical therapy and stuff like that, but I'd always be open to the possibility, but right now I don't see it as a probable option. I just don't know if I could afford to go there right now.
Now, in the opening days of TNA, you debuted as part of Jim Mitchell's
The New Church.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That didn't last too long. Then you came back to the Hard 10 tournament. What happened in between there?
Just an issue where I was told they were trying to save some money, and I was one of the flying guys, so I just got nixed. It was a shame too. I really enjoyed the New Church gimmick. I thought the gimmick was really cool. It was a lot of fun working with Wolfie and with James Vandenberg and of course Big Malice. I miss him to this day, but he's the guy that I actually had my first match with ever at Mike Sharp's wrestling school.
Oh, wow.
And to be a part of that group with him, it was just really special for the both of us. Just an awesome guy. We got to work a little bit in WCW where he gave me a few big bumps and stuff, and that was just, we would talk about going from Mike Sharp's school and that little dinky strip mall to being able to, to be able to work with each other on national TV, and it was fantastic. And then when they finally put us together in this really cool looking like demonic group, we loved the idea, and unfortunately it just didn't pan out there.
Yeah. Well,
do you have a TNA product now? Or?
I bought what they actually have some. Like I said, they have some outstanding athletes or guys I would love to work with, and I'm just, their actual in-ring wrestling is unrivaled. Like you can't even compare the two products. The in-ring action in TNA is just incredible, and what they're coming along, it's and they're just introducing, they're building more characters, and they're giving the fans a chance to get into these new characters, and I think it's just a matter of time before they pick up and really become a force to be reckoned with.
There's been some grumbling. I'll say that. I'll leave it at this because I have a little bit of information, but I'm not going to sound like I'm some sort of ultimate insider because I'm not. But I've been hearing a little bit of grumblings that they might be bringing in a classic face to be one of the new bookers, and that is Jake the Snake Roberts. What do you think would happen if they did that?
I think Jake has an incredible wealth of knowledge, and I think he would definitely be an asset to the company if that were to happen. With as much experience as he has, and if you talk about a guy that knows wrestling psychology, like he's definitely one of them. So, I think I'm always a big believer that two heads are better than one working at a task. 3 heads are better than 2, and as long as everybody is focused towards a common goal, the more minds working for that goal, the better.
That sounds great.
Yeah. I have actually one more question for you. You talked a lot about psychology during this interview. Have you had any thoughts on possibly opening up your own wrestling school and becoming a trainer?
Just don't have the time for it. Like I said, I just opened up my own physical therapy practice. It's, as far as training guys to wrestle, I would love to do it, but it's just not in the cards. It's just not in. I just don't have the time to do it. I have too many other responsibilities right now. Although I will go up to the local wrestling school around here. It's East Coast Professional Wrestling School in Lake Hiawatha, and I'll do my best to help out the new guys when they're up there. If anybody has questions or needs help with something, I'm always there to help them. But as far as opening up a whole business and having a schedule where I have to be there to train people, there's just no way to fit it into what I'm doing right now.
Where's your facility at right now?
It's in North Jersey. Yeah. Want to make sure I don't get any crank phone calls at the
so you're not here to promote it then, are you?
No.
Okay, good.
No cheap pops here, no cheap plugs. Just that's what I'm involved with here, though. So.
All right, that sounds cool. I thought maybe you wanted to promote it.
Yeah.
Patrick, do you have any more questions?
No, I'm good.
All right. We have one quick word association, or I do at least. Tammy Stitch.
Great gal.
I wanted to ask you a couple questions about you worked with Chris Candido a little bit in WCW.
I actually worked with him a lot actually on the Indies, and actually the work we had in WCW was actually just really a small fraction of what the amount of times we've worked. We worked with each other countless times on the independents, and I mean, what a great guy, and just talk about a great wrestler. He's like another guy that I just miss a whole lot, and it was always just a great pleasure to work with him. There were so many times I would get to a building not knowing who I was going to work with, and then a promoter just said, "Yeah, I threw this together. You can work with Candido tonight, and it was just it was a great night because he was very much like myself in that even if there was 50 people out there, we loved to wrestle, and he would want to go out there and just have a great match, be in front of 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. So it was just always a pleasure to work with Chris, and just great guy. And when we lost him, that was just a huge loss. Because the business itself, just a shame. And he was just an awesome athlete, an entertainer, performer. You name it, he had that aspect of wrestling. He had it all.
I wanted to give you a quote from Daphne, and then we'll let you go. She said something about Tammy backstage that she said it probably wasn't the best time of her life at that point. She said she was kind of slower than everything. Did you experience that, or is that kind of blown out of proportion?
I actually, last time I saw Tammy, she was in great shape. She was she was looking great. She was totally coherent, and just we saw her at a christening actually for Dawn Marie's son. She actually introduced me. Dawn actually introduced me to my current wife right now, Dina. So I'm very indebted to Dawn to that. She introduced me to a fantastic woman, and we sat at the same table as Tammy on that day, and she was looking fantastic actually. So, but the last time I saw Tammy, she actually looked great.
All right, then. Well, I wanted to ask you one quick thing before we let you off the phone. This isn't really part of the interview. I just wanted to ask you: do you actually have a website?
No, I just don't have time to keep one up. I don't even, I've been so out of any kind of self promotion or any kind of stuff that's because I don't have the time. I mean, I even now I very rarely take indie dates outside of New Jersey, like Pennsylvania, New York, just because the main thing right now is my physical therapy stuff. Okay. So it's just that's paying the bills, and I'm doing well with it, and it's that's my main focus now. You know what I mean? So at the same time, I love wrestling, and I'm just looking to get back. This isn't for the interview, right?
No.
Yeah, and so over the past 4 months, I've got myself into awesome shape, and gonna have some, gonna go out there and make a little crack at the indies again, and just have some fun and see what comes of it.
Okay, I just wanted to say that because if you ever needed help with that down the line, I'd be willing to help you.
Well, give me a call back, maybe a little bit, and I'll see if maybe I can get something going. I just don't know. Right now, I'm just totally swamped. We have the business opening up. Our house is in a shambles because we're having an addition added on. So it's just, life is crazy now.
All right, cool, man.
So that's why I got in late from work today because we're just getting it's a new thing, so it's crazy there, and it's I'm sorry for keeping you guys so late too. So.
Oh no, it's all right. That's cool, man. Well, take care, and best of luck to you, and best of luck with the business, obviously.
Cool, guys. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, thanks so much. Take care. Get some sleep.